One of the things that I pointed out this week and as well is that, and I said on stage in New York City, just blocks away from Ground Zero, that even the Twin Towers themselves were taken down by angry migrants who hated America. And what do we do in the wake of 9/11? We increased the power of the national security state. We passed the Patriot Act. We invaded the Middle East. But maybe, just maybe, all we really needed to do was lock down our borders, focus on who we are, and keep each other safe. Why didn't we do that, Will?
That's a really good question. And it's hard to understand what the Bush administration was doing on that front to not be more selective. It's hard to understand what's been going on for the last 25 years. I think the lesson should have been learned on 9/11, and it hasn't been. And hopefully, I think we're starting to see some movement in the direction of learning it now. We're really having very good talk about limiting Muslim migration, which I don't even know if was in the Overton window back then. I mean, I remember one of the things the Bush administration did in the aftermath of 9/11 was be extremely aggressive in his outreach to the Muslim community in the United States. I mean, he made clear that, you know, they went after Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, they went after Iraq, but it's not clear they did anything meaningful in terms of changing immigration policy domestically. And that's absurd. And I think it fit into a broader theme that, you know, the Republicans have still not totally shaken, which is this idea that immigration is an unalloyed good. It's not. It's absolutely not. And I mean, you know, in the best case, it seems like you get stuff like when it comes to Muslim immigration, you get massive fraud like you do in Somalia. And in the worst case, you get terrorist attacks. We just don't need it. We do not need it anymore. Islam is not compatible with Western civilization, and mass Muslim migration is not compatible with Western societies. And it's time to say this experiment has run its course, and it needs to stop. You know, to the people who don't have citizenship and don't have a right to stay in the United States need to be sent home. And the people who have citizenship, I mean, essentially, you want to encourage people to leave and return back to their home countries. I mean, we're not going to, you know, denaturalize unless we have legal reason to do so, but we basically want to say that we've had quite enough Muslim immigration to this country. We want it to stop, and we want there to be net negative Muslim migration to the United States.
Well, and what's really strange here is, and I see people keep saying it over and over, what's the benefit been? What's the benefit to us? I can't seem to find any. Is the benefit to our economy? Is there a benefit to having an Uber driver that, by the way, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it straight up. Uber sucks now. Uber is awful. You can't find a good Uber driver anymore. You can't do it. It's like not possible. They don't exist. It's really bad. In pretty much every city that I've been in lately, the drivers are slow. They don't know where they're going. The app doesn't work. I'm going to say full disclosure. I had a really bad weekend with Uber drivers, and it's just been awful. And it's been awful because I know for a fact that you know it. These are not Americans when you get in the back of that car. They're just not. And it's becoming this new like import class of people that you could be like in the middle of nowhere, and suddenly you're finding like some third world migrant is pulling up in an Uber, and you're like, what's going on? And you ask them basic stuff like, hey, I think you should go this way instead of that way, and they can't even follow what you're saying. It's horrific. Sorry, rant, had to do it.
No, but that's real. And I mean, that's true all over the Western world. You have this sort of newly imported class of Uber drivers, Uber Eats, DoorDash drivers, kind of working as effectively a kind of servant class, but not a very effective servant class. And they're not actually adding meaningful value to the United States economy because they're not earning enough to cover their way of life. And so they're certainly not paying any taxes. So they're extracting more benefits from the state than they're generating in terms of their economic value. And we just don't need this stuff. Like, you know, I think it would be fine if things like DoorDash and Uber were more expensive because the delivery costs were higher, but the fisc wasn't being drained by the social services needed to provide for all these Uber drivers and deliverers. It's not a good trade for the United States broadly, and our economy would be better off if the government were spending a lot less money on benefits and Uber and DoorDash were a little more expensive.
Yeah, and what they'll do, right? You'll see them do this is that they will share account information. So even then, again, these are just all qualities of a high trust society that importing a low trust society completely flips around. So they will share accounts. So the guy that you think is coming in the Uber might not actually match. You check the car, but are you checking the driver? Are you sure that's the driver that's on your Uber? Because just because he's using that account, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the driver who signed up with the Uber. And I've seen people do this a number of times. Make sure that you check. This is like word to the wise this Christmas. Make sure you don't just check the car, check the driver of your Uber.